Hi guys, Mr. David here. So there are a lot of really interesting jobs out in the world. Take mine for example. I get to read silly books with silly voices, do arts and crafts, and teach fun activities to kids. I love my job, and I can't believe it took me so long to find it. But in finding this job, I had a lot of other jobs working in kitchens at fast food restaurants, selling newspapers, selling insurance, working customer service, and even working as an actor. Now, along the way, I learned a lot, but I also met a lot of interesting people with interesting jobs. You know what? I want to share them with you. I want you to meet my friends and find out about their interesting jobs and what they did to get those jobs and what you can start studying if you want to do that in the future. Does that sound good? So, over the next few weeks, join us as we get to talk to my friends and find out about their really interesting jobs. I hope you enjoy. In all of my jobs, the ones I have the most fun in are the ones where I get to perform and entertain for people. I used to be a walk around character at Ripley's Believe It or Not in Times Square. I gotta be silly and be this strange professor character and do magic tricks and experiments. That's the closest I've ever come to working at an amusement park or something similar. But I've always enjoyed amusement parks and thought it would be fun to work there. Well, I actually have a friend who works for Universal Studios Orlando, and I was able to sit down with him and learn all about what he does there. I hope you guys enjoy my conversation with my good friend Louis. Hey guys, I'm here with my good friend Louis Buehling, and Louis has a really interesting job. So, Louis, why don't you start by telling everybody what you do?
Okay, so I am, in short, an entertainment technician at Universal Studios Orlando. Um, to get more specific, I am a staging and rigging specialist uh, technician at Universal Studios Orlando.
Now, when you say rigging, is this like in the theatrical rigging where it's hanging lights and things like that?
Yes, so pretty much, especially with the staging aspect, we are anything that is over your head or under your feet for any major production that happens on property that we're a part of, or any of our marquee events like Halloween Horror Nights or our Christmas holiday spectaculars, or our Mardi Gras concerts and parades that we do.
Okay, that's amazing. Now, how long have you been doing this?
Actually, at the end of next month, it will be 6 years.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
reaching a 6 year milestone. So that's pretty cool. So,
It's fun.
yeah, how did you get into working at an amusement park?
I never really thought it was going to be a thing I was going to do. So I got my theater degree, which led me to several theater jobs all over the country. I worked a lot in upstate New York. I worked in a great little theater that's in Minnesota. I worked in another theater in Colorado. I've gotten a good little travel around the country. Um, but from there, I ended up at a Renaissance fair in Pennsylvania as a carpenter and stage manager for their shows. And that led me to meet a guy that was doing the special effects and pyrotechnics there because it's a very large Renaissance fair and they have a huge joust with explosions and stuff like that. And so he needed somebody that could help him out. And I was like, well, yeah, I obviously want to learn to do that. So I started working with him for about 3 years. And in those 3 years, he and I became very good friends. And he was like, "Hey, man, you should move to Orlando. I can put you to work. It'll be fun." I was like, "All right, yeah, why not? I've been to Orlando. Why not? Let's go." Moved down, and from there, once you're in Orlando, you kind of meet everybody. Like it's a big city with a very small town mentality in the
Sure.
entertainment world. So once gigs got sparse for a little bit, I got a call from a friend that was like, "Hey, do you want to? We've got a spot in the rigging department. Do you want to come over?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll see what it's about for a little bit." And 6 years later, here we are.
So, what is a typical day like working at Universal?
Uh, there's there are some, but usually only when we're in the runs of those marquee events that I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, like Horror Nights and stuff like that. Um, like right now is sort of our downtime. I mean, we've been installing the haunted houses and stuff like that for Horror Nights since February.
Sure.
Um, and then, uh, yeah, like yeah, it just depends on what happens. Like, for example, today was not exactly a typical day because we had a huge press conference. We didn't know who was coming to talk or anything like that. But they were just like, hey, the NBC Grill has a press conference that's going to be happening. So we need people out there to set up some decks and stuff like that. And like, how much of what do you need? And they're like, we don't really know. So we just brought out a whole mess of staging decks and a whole bunch of other things that we were probably going to need, maybe. And we just started setting it up. And the TV crews were like, okay, well, what about this? Oh, can we move this over here, et cetera, et cetera. And then it turns out that it was our governor, DeSantis, that came to talk about phase 2 of reopening.
Mhm.
And also, it was the first day that we have been opened back as a park since the quarantine to guests. It was our annual pass holders today.
Sure.
So we don't really have typical days because we are a live production lot. There's always something happening, but otherwise, it's kind of like just showing up for doing a show. Like you
Sure.
know what you've got to do, and it's usually the same routine over and over again. But there's always that live element that
Always
kind of
that need for creative problem solving on the fly. So.
all the
If I was governor, which trust me, no one's ever going to vote me into office. Um, but if I was governor and I was doing a press conference at an amusement park, it would be on a roller coaster. Just put the camera in the
absolutely,
front and just like, well, I'd like
absolutely.
to address it. And so, so, all right. So, what is your favorite thing about your job?
I mean, aside from the fact that I can go to Hogwarts whenever I want to, and I've literally drank so much butterbeer. It's probably not healthy. We don't need to talk about that part. The best part, honestly, is truly the crew that I work with, the guys
Mhm.
that I work with, um, guys and girls that I work with, excuse me, are excellent human beings. They are not just some of my close friends. They're also some of the hardest working people that I've
Sure.
ever been privileged enough to work with. They, again, we have all of these on the fly changes that happen all the time. We have these very, very strenuous, long days. I mean, I have easily, especially whenever we have to prep for hurricanes and stuff like that, I've been there for hours and hours on end without, a lot. I mean, we definitely take time to make sure that everybody's safe and okay. That's
Mhm.
our number one thing that we worry about. But we have a job to do, and we're the ones that have to do it.
Now, my next question kind of goes with that. So that's your favorite thing, but what's the toughest thing? Now, this doesn't mean like the thing that you hate about your job.
Sure.
It's just, the hardest aspect of your job.
I'd have to say, honestly, the hardest aspect is, well, it is that split second decision making, because especially because with the rigging department, we are a high risk department. We're putting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of equipment and gear over your head,
Sure.
and making sure that not only is it going to stay there, but the things that are holding it up are going to stay there as well. On top of that, if there's any kind of weather conditions, because we are outdoor entertainment, anything like that, it's all graded for that and more, because we want to make sure that everybody doesn't have to worry about being safe. They can just show up and have a good time. But in those moments, it can be very, very stressful, because you don't want to get it wrong. You want to make sure that
Right.
you're putting out the best product for the people, because theme parks, I mean, let's be honest, theme parks aren't cheap. And I want to make sure that you guys are getting your money's worth
Right. You
to
want
come
them to
in,
have a
and
good experience.
I
Yeah.
want you to have a good time. And I don't want anybody to ever have to worry about safety. And
Yeah.
I feel like at Universal, regardless of who it is doing it with us, our tech department does not mess around. There's nothing that I wouldn't put my name on, because I know that we do a good job.
Sure, sure. Now, if someone like a young kid was saw this and were like, "This is what I want to do. I want to work behind the scenes at an amusement park or Ren Fair or something, doing lighting, doing rigging." What advice would you give
Oh, turn back, get a real job. No, um,
them?
it is a hard life to start. Um, I like I said, I traveled around. I
Mhm.
I would leave Arkansas for 6 or 7 months at a time, and then I would come home, and then I would go back out. Not to say that Arkansas doesn't have the opportunities there. I just wanted to see what else was out there,
Sure,
and so the best thing I can say, honestly, is learn as much as you possibly can in anything that would even remotely be related to what it is you want to end up doing, whether it's lighting or audio or rigging or makeup or costumes or anything like that. There's so many things like with makeup, learning about the chemical makeup of making fake blood or your own types of palettes of makeup and stuff like that. Or if you're into rigging, start learning about some physical science and geometry and all that
hmm
kind of fun stuff. If you want to do special effects, plumbing all day long. If you want to make a fireball happen, learn about how to be a plumber because that is the best way to do that. There's no limit to how much knowledge you can gain and then apply it towards something in the entertainment industry.
Sure. Now, so we've touched upon theater as a background because really that's how we got to know each other was studying theater in college. When you went for your theater degree, did you go more for tech? Like, was that already a passion for you, or did you go for performance and find technical theater?
I went because in high school, theater was where I felt happy. I never
Sure.
knew a bad day in the theatrical world in high school. And it was never to be a performer. It was never to be a tech. I didn't know. I just wanted to go hang out and do stuff. I loved acting when I got the opportunity to do so because we had an excellent department and really, really great people to work with. But I also loved working in the shop. And then when I found out you could get paid to do it, well, that was it. I'm in for that. That's great.
Oh yeah.
So honestly, I went in. I guess you could say I went in for the community and came out with a family and a skill set.
Sure. Now, is there like something you wish you could go back and study more of to help you with your job, like more electric kind of studies, or more, you mentioned plumbing, that, or woodworking? Is there something you wish you had gotten a better foundation in the beginning?
For myself, I wish I had paid more attention in the computer science aspect of it.
Hmm.
I wish I had learned more about AutoCAD and Vectorworks and stuff like that. All the drafting
Sure.
things that we would use for set design and stuff like that. I mean, that's not to say that I didn't learn about it. I just didn't make it important enough for me to really put forth an effort to make myself the best I could be for it. Yeah, I think, yeah, that would be it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, everything is a lot more digital nowadays.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it would have been nice to go through and learn all of those early computer design
Especially
things.
when, yeah, it was at when we were in school. That was the very beginning of the theatrical world going super digital.
Yeah. Now, I remember my favorite time in design class was when we actually got to, out of foam core, build the
Build
miniatures of the
this.
set,
Oh
doing the white model,
yes,
because that's the kind of crafting I like, is doing those little, like building something.
absolutely. It's more tactile. It's fun. You can touch it. And you can manipulate it right there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think you already touched on this, but I'm going to ask it again because my memory is not what it used to be. When you got done with college and you had your degree, what really made you just go, you know what, I could go for this type of job or this, but I'm going to pursue this technical theater, working backstage of Ren fairs and amusement parks and other theatrical productions?
Honestly, it was the internships that I spent in Conway
Mhm.
with the Arkansas Shakespeare Theater. My internships, and it was the first, whew, oh, the first 6 seasons that I worked with AST. Not all of them as an intern, obviously. I think it was the first 3 I was an intern, and then after that I was the master card mostly. Um, but those, especially the early seasons, man, like the first 4 or 5 seasons were just some of the best experiences that I've ever had in my like. I still talk to the majority. I don't think there's a single person that I worked with at AST that I don't still talk with.
Sure.
But in that time, I learned what it was to not just, oh, I got to go to my creative writing class real quick. I'll be back to work on this stage deck later. It was, no, this is your job. Build the set, go home, go to bed, wake up, go build the set. Like it was great.
Sure.
And to me, that was it. Now, don't get me wrong, summer stock theater, that is a chore, and it takes a very specific person to do. However, it was for me. So I think
Yeah.
once I finished up with college and I had done a couple of seasons with AST, I was like, yeah, I mean, I got the degree.
Mhm.
I've got some experience under my belt. Um, let's see what's out there. And I started putting in for jobs all over the country. And a small town just north of Syracuse needed a master carpenter and a master electrician. So I went up and did both for some reason.
So, is there anything you do at home, like a hobby you do that is very much like what you do at work, where you might be building something and you stop and say, wait a minute, I do this all day, yet I come home and do this?
I come home and do this. Um, Definitely not to as grand of a scale. For holidays, we put up an 80-foot self-contained and internally guy-wired Christmas tree.
Hmm.
So obviously, I'm not putting that up because we also have cats. And cats and Christmas trees, especially if it's 80 feet. Um, no, I can't think. I don't think I do. I mean, I'm sitting in a chair that's hung from the ceiling. I guess there's that. I don't know. I think I leave work at work. As much as I
Sure.
love it, it's definitely, I can't spoil myself.
Sure. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Exactly.
All right. Last question. I may pop up with another one, but last question I have for you: with all the things you do at Universal, all the different shows and attractions that you work on, what is your favorite one to work on?
Ooh,
Like, is there one over the others that you're like, oh, yay, today I get to go and work on
and
this
go over
thing?
that. Oh man, that's tough because I've done a lot of really cool stuff. Um, Not ones that are reoccurring,
Hmm.
but there are several things that I'm very proud of that I have done.
Sure.
Um, I guess, namely, and I'm sad that I didn't get to see it all the way through, but before I actually worked for Universal, I worked as a third party contractor
Hmm.
whenever they were building Diagon Alley
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
new Green Gots ride and all that stuff. Um, I didn't see it all the way through because I had to go to Minnesota for another contract, but I saw the majority of it through. I worked with the department that installed and built all the special effects for the land of Diagon Alley and inside the ride of Escape from Green Gots.
Okay. So
So
like when you mean like the effects, like the when people buy those magic wands and can make the things move, like
I
that.
didn't do the no, I didn't do all the wand exhibits. We did a couple. We did a
Okay.
handful. The majority of the ones that we did a lot of the ones that are actually in the secret area of Nocturne Alley
Oh.
that are kind of hard to find. But we also we did basically anything that is fog, water, air, or fire. That was us.
Yes. So most of Captain Planet. Okay.
We pretty much all. You know what? And we put a lot of heart into it.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you. I mean, hopefully this wasn't too painful.
No,
So,
this is great. This was a ton of fun.
well, it's been a lot of fun catching up with you. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with all of us about your
Of
job.
course.
All right.
Of course.
Well,
Thank you for
thanks.
having me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks once again. Right. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Louis. I had a lot of fun sitting down and talking with him. I haven't seen him in a number of years, so it was really, really fun getting to talk with him about all about Universal Studios Orlando. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and tune in next week, next Friday. We have a very, very special guest. This is another friend of mine that I've known for many years. He is actually a writer for animated television shows. You won't want to miss that. So make sure you come back next Friday. Till then, bye guys.